So Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone went to Washington, D.C. to ask politicians if the U.S. is meddling in Venezuela. And the responses here are atrocious.
Do you think the U.S. is meddling in Venezuela?
I don't think so. I mean, we're the superpower in the world.
Part of the Russian agenda is to undermine democracy, not just in our country, but in other countries as well.
Do you think it would be meddling if Russia were to declare Nancy Pelosi the president of the U.S.?
I haven't thought about that. She's not president of the United States, I'll tell you that.
It's a pretty desperate situation over there, yeah.
So we should be meddling, is what you're saying.
You know, the problem is when you meddle, you cause locals to rebel against that, so it's a tough call.
Maduro's troops or goons went into the ghetto and decided they were going to take over.
Isn't he the president of the country? I mean,
yeah.
Those are his security forces.
Well,
so.
Perhaps.
Do you think the U.S. is meddling in Venezuela?
Are they meddling? Yeah, both sides are meddling.
But it's good meddling is what you're saying.
I don't know if it's good meddling or not.
I mean, any comment on the situation in Venezuela?
Oh, goodness gracious. As far as Venezuela is concerned, I think they did have a coup down there.
Yeah.
So, but what I'd like to see, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to go.
It is a coup.
Yeah, to me, when you have something like that happen, I think we got to do something about it, but I'm so sorry. I got to go. Okay, thanks.
Would I classify it as a coup what's happening? No, I wouldn't classify it as a coup.
How would you classify it?
I'll tell you what, I'd rather be interviewed from a position of fact rather than innuendo or opinion, especially since I just missed the briefing, which was just a couple hours ago.
Do you think the U.S. is meddling in Venezuela's political system?
I think we're just supporting the people and supporting what they are deciding needs to happen, and so I think that's good for us since we are the bastion of freedom to speak up and support other people around the world who are crying for freedom as well.
Well, I think we need to protect the Mueller Commission.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that the Mueller Commission report is a public report.
On the issue of meddling, do you think the U.S. is meddling in Venezuela right now in their political system? Do you think Trump is running a coup there? Do you think John Bolton and Rubio are running a coup?
I don't know. I think they're speaking out against, Maduro, who has been awful.
Any comment on the situation in Venezuela? Do you think what's happening there is a coup?
Okay, I got to go with Josh here. Venezuela is not a good situation right now, and
what's going on? There. And any comment on the situation in Venezuela? Do you think it's a coup?
No, not yet.
Any comment on the situation in Venezuela?
We're working on our something.
No comment, my friend.
No
Good
comment.
to see you all.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure.
You know, it's really not my portfolio.
The fact is that Venezuelans are starving today in an oil-rich country.
So do you support the sanctions, which will hurt ordinary people?
Yeah, I'm not going to take the bait.
Okay. Do you support the sanctions?
I'm done. Adios.
Do you support the sanctions?
Adios. Yes, I support them.
Wouldn't that hurt ordinary people?
I think we need sometimes to demonstrate that Mr. Maduro has hurt ordinary people every single day.
By sanctioning the entire country's economy, seizing its assets?
Let me say this about U.S. relationships in Central and South America and the Caribbean. It is something that we should not be proud of. I mean, I look at the way this country has treated Haiti for over 200
Aristide
years.
was an ally of Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, Jean-Bertrand Aristide. Do you see this as a continuation of that policy of kind of neo-colonialism?
Oh, for sure. Even with Cuba.
Yeah.
We've had an embargo on Cuba since 1959. This is tragic.
Right. So do you think we should
and they are
embargo
90 miles off our coast. So
right. So should we embargo Venezuela the same way?
Absolutely not.
Right.
Why? Because then the population will suffer more.
Right.
No, I don't agree with that.
So are you going to speak up on that because you clearly know
Sir,
what time
that's not my issue.
Okay.
My issue is financial services.
All right.
That's what I do.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Holy shit. That was something to watch. It's honestly embarrassing because it looks like everybody in D.C. just internalizes the idea that we're above international law. The U.S. is above international law. It simply doesn't apply to us at all. So why are you bothering to ask these questions and demand consistency on our part and demand respect for sovereign nations, even if we happen to massively disagree with the way those countries are run? It's almost like they were all like, they stopped dead in their tracks and they were like, I don't know how to respond to this. How do I respond to this? I've never thought of it this way. When he brought up, what if Russia just declared Nancy Pelosi was president? And the person was like, I never thought of it like that. Yeah, because you're a fucking dumbass. Because people who are arrogant and who aren't thoughtful will never try to do the intellectual exercise of flipping, like, what if we were in their position and they were in our position? They never do that. So, I mean, it really was gross to see. Look at some of the responses. Hey, is the U.S. meddling in Venezuela? Well, no, because, quote, we're the superpower in the world. So, in other words, you're admitting it. Like, yeah, I think we're above international law. It doesn't apply to us. We get to do what we want. So then you don't believe in international law. You don't believe in it. You don't have a principled belief in international law. You think, hey, we could willy-nilly break it. Another person said, quote, it's a tough call. Is it? Somebody else said, we got to do something about it. That's the other thing. There's this feeling of like, well, I mean, we have to do something. So create a crisis and then turn around and say, well, we got to do something about it. Well, hold on. A lot of the problem in Venezuela, not all of it, but a lot of it is because we sanction the shit out of them. And so ordinary people are suffering. And then we turn around and we go, we got to help these ordinary people. Okay, you want to do that? Lift the sanctions. That's how you do it. But no. We want to help them by backing an illegal coup and meddling in their country and putting a U.S.-backed puppet in place. I mean, that's what it is. That's what we want to do. Who are we kidding? And then, quote, we're just supporting the people. We are the bastions of freedom. I mean, that's somebody who drank the Kool-Aid of American exceptionalism so thoroughly that they can't see straight. We're just supporting people. Actually, no, there was a poll that came out just the other day, which found that it's over 80% of Venezuelans who say, we want the U.S. to stay out of our affairs. Over 80%! Over 80%! So this whole song and dance of like, oh, us, we're just backing the people in Venezuela. No, you're not. You're not. If you're backing an illegal coup, you are not backing the people in Venezuela. You're just not doing that. So stop saying it. Because the polls show the opposite. And the idea that we're the bastions of freedom, I mean, come on, man. We back 73% of the world's dictatorships. You cannot say we support freedom if we're backing 73% of the world's dictatorships. Our top allies, Israel and Saudi Arabia, an apartheid state and a theocratic fucking dictatorship. I mean, come on. It's comical. It's fucking comical, this stuff. And none of these people are looking at it objectively and are believers in international law. And it's really sad. I mean, what's the fucking point? If Democrats are just going to agree with Republicans on foreign policy, then what the fuck's the point? We want an opposition party. We want somebody who's going to say, no, this is wrong. And by the way, who has done that? Ro Khanna has done that. He's been a leader on this issue. Ilhan Omar, same thing. Has Rashida Tlaib, I'm not sure on Rashida Tlaib, and Tulsi Gabbard. Those are the ones who have been really upfront about it and said, no, we should stay out. We should 100% stay out. End of conversation. So they're doing a wonderful job, and they deserve a lot of credit because even Bernie and AOC have been like, me. I think that they get it and that they don't want us to do what we're doing, but they haven't been very upfront about it. And I think there's a reason for that, by the way. I think the reason is they're accused all the time of like their ideal system being Venezuela, and they love Maduro. And so they're accused of being like socialist authoritarians. And if you say, hey, hands off Venezuela, a lot of people on the right are going to go, see, that proves it. Their ideal system is Venezuela. So they want to avoid that smear at all costs. So they're kind of bending over backwards to not stick their neck out on this issue. But what I would tell them is, no, you're allowed to come out there and say, as a matter of principle, the U.S. shouldn't be allowed to violate international law. The U.S. isn't above international law. So this has nothing to do with who's leading the country. It has to do with illegal coups are not something we should be in the business of. So they could say that, but they're kind of tiptoeing around it, and that's upsetting. But anyway, I thought that was great work from Max Blumenthal. He really ripped the mask off of the deep, deep hypocrisy and immorality of the system. And it's time for a change, man. We need all of them to act like Tulsi Gabbard and Ro Khanna and Ilhan Omar. And the entire Democratic Party should be united against intervention, illegal intervention in foreign countries. As we scream about, oh my God, there's meddling in our country because they're Twitter trolls. Ah! As we do that, we're literally backing an illegal coup. Come on, man. Hypocrisy isn't even a strong enough word. We need something that goes above and beyond that word. So there you have it. We got a long way to go on foreign policy, and it's a damn shame.